Hello, this is a follow-up video on Nora Vincent, the woman who recently passed away. She disguised herself as a man and took on the identity and suffered from it. Now, it's not so much her I want to speak about, but this young man. I'm going to respond to him. Night Talk. He gives his view on it, which is pretty good as far as I'm concerned, and I'll respond to him.
Hey, I know we talk a lot about it on this channel of how rough it is for men out here, bruh. And oftentimes it go in one motherfucker's ear and out the other, bruh. But if this shit don't say everything, bruh. If this shit don't say everything, man, ain't shit sweet. It ain't shit sweet out here, man. And like, if you a man, you're accustomed to it, bruh. Like it's life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm imagining how that abrupt transition would be from living as a woman to living as a man. Because walking around as a man is all you fucking know. It's all you fucking know. I wonder how it would be for a man able to, like a man's man, or yeah, any type of man for that matter. You know?
Thank you for correcting yourself, Night Talk. I'm glad you did, because you're hitting on one of the, backbones of, the reason why men suffer is when women talk about their issues as women, they don't break down into categories saying I'm a woman's woman, and then these loser women who are wimpy and cowardly. They don't do that. And yet men do it all the time. Men are hostile to other men. So men suffer social isolation. That's one of the backbones of it.
I mean, who knows? Who's aware of the fucking struggle? Like, who's aware of how strenuous it is to be a man out in these streets today? You know what I'm saying? I want.
What do you mean today? This has been the way for men since the dawn of humanity in all cultures throughout the world. Men have never had it easy, ever.
Wonder how they would deal with an abrupt transition to a woman. And
We already know, Night Talk, because there are trans women like Blair White, and I forget the other woman's name, Theron, and they talked about it, and they said they're able to pass as women, and they admitted that people treated them better as women. We know it anyway. I mean, there's women live their lives on easy mode. They're accepted everywhere. So it doesn't take much imagination anyway.
and I wonder how those two perspectives would compare, man, because
There is no comparison. Women live a life of acceptance, and men live a life of social isolation. So you can contrast them, but you can't compare them.
this was eye opening as hell to me. You know what I mean? Nora got to the point where I think originally she was supposed to try to walk as a man for 2 years and she couldn't even fucking make it, bruh. She started to hate women. You know what I mean? Um,
What kind of validates men's feelings about the opposite sex? So men have a right to voice that. If you try to voice it on social media, you get kicked off social media. And that's something that should change, because men treat women well and women treat men like garbage. It's that simple.
I just showed y'all the video of her experiences in the dating market, bruh, and she couldn't handle that. And that's small chips compared to everything else out there men got to fucking struggle with.
I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you with your hair talk, Night Talk. We are social animals, and men find their social environment through women. So if a man isn't getting it if he isn't succeeding in the dating circle, he's basically suffering from social isolation. I mean, what is one of the big punishments in prison? Is put you in isolated confinement, right? Exactly. So if I were you, I wouldn't belittle, what you're talking about right now. You know, if men actually enjoyed each other's company and hung around each other, the dating scene wouldn't matter as much. But it does. As an example, you try and crash a party as a single man. Nobody knows you. What's going to happen? The other men there are going to get hostile with you. A strange woman can crash a party and she'll be accepted. She'll be all right. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and she saw how that shit work wholeheartedly, bro. Men have no leverage in the dating world. Men have no leverage in a bunch of fucking situations within society, man. But specifically within the dating world, motherfuckers, she felt this goddamn small, bro. And that's what men got to deal with day to day. She can't even fucking.
Yeah. So how is that a small thing? If you're a man who's making, successful in other areas of your life, but people are making you feel small, all those other achievements don't mean anything to you.
Handle that. I mean, I'm not trying to like criticize or ridicule or, you know what I'm saying, make sarcasm of what happened to her, man, because it's horrible, man. But like feminists at that, being able to empathize for men given the brief experience that she had walking as a man, bro, that speaks enormously, man. And I'm
Don't be too kind to her. If she went to her deathbed holding on to this idea that men, uh, dehumanizing these ideas of men, like, how was it? Like, men's sexual attraction is entirely visual, stuff like that. She never could get all the way.
I mean, I'm not surprised that there's not that much attention being brought to this, man, because at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck. Society can care less about what men go through, because at the end of the day, a man got to be a man, and man got to hold it down. If you're not worthy, if you can't handle life, then you're useless. And
So what? Night Talk, we've got a ton of useless women who live life and are accepted by society, who are useless, and they're not discarded. And you're part of the problem now. What do you mean that a man's got to be a man? So if you don't measure up, you should be just discarded as a person? Sorry, pal. Night Talk, you were part of the problem. These are the attitudes that have to change. If you want to make the world a better place, just talking about Nora Vincent saying, wow, men have it tough, that's not going to cut it. You are feeling. For me to be a man's man, so to speak, and the man up is to actually make positive changes. And that means making positive changes to attitudes, sir. Okay?
society treats you as such, man. But we still gotta highlight the shit. Men can't sit here and just cry about it and give up and all that, bro. You make the situation worse. But what we can do is bring awareness to it and prepare motherfuckers for what life is gonna throw at them, so they can.
So just be a good little slave boy, is what you're saying. My preparation would be get the men together, right? These man's men, right? And protest in the streets and say, it doesn't matter what we look like or if we're able to hold down a job or whatever. We deserve the same respect as the opposite sex. See the difference between the two of us? I'm actually talking about, man, doing something about it. You, like talk, are talking about a slave mentality that men should just accept, their slavehood. Either succeed at these defunct second-class gender roles or pass away. What if you can't make it? What are you doing about it now except crying? No offense. I know you're not just crying. I won't insult you like that. But the point is, what you're suggesting, Night Talk, is just men get ready to take abuse and somehow get through it. Sorry, I want greater things for men.
And you know what I mean, adapt and try to place themselves in the best position to be successful, man. But to bring it back,
How would you adapt though? You're not talking about adapting. You're talking about the very opposite of just staying the way you are and taking it.
to this, bro, she gave up after 18 months. 18 months couldn't handle it no more. I got some more specific details on it. I don't want to misspeak on anything. I've read through the article, but I want to make sure I got my facts straight. Here we go.
Okay, I'll get past this because I don't think this was so important.
Brink of checking herself into a mental facility, man, because she was breaking down, trying to find that part of this article. She spoke on how she expected to experience male privilege, but came to find out there's nothing of the sort, and men are at an incredible disadvantage. But
well, you know, is men, you know that old expression, night talk, where guys would say, "Have you ever talked to a woman?" For this to be a shock to her, that means all women would be looking at men going through our daily lives and we're being invisible to them. That they don't care about our lives. They never cared about what was in our heads. Even when a man tells a woman what's in his head, they don't care. That doesn't mean anything to them. That's what this should be very eye-opening to you in this regard. This is all women, all women. This is how men are viewed by women, as non-entities.
But hold on, where is it? I suspect people will go into thinking, oh, it's written by a lesbian. She's going to be male bashing all the way down the line, Nora said during a phone interview. But my experience was one that made me feel vulnerable and made me feel a lot of pain and difficulty. While all of us in the post-feminist movement are convinced that women have always had it worse and men have always had it better, it took me stepping into their shoes to realize that's not true at all. Here we go. It says here, Nora's mental state started to decline. She fell into a crippling depression as Ned, that was her man name, and had to check herself into a mental facility while finishing self-made.
You know what's going on here, Night Talk? It's not simply that being a man was a terrible experience. It's being a woman now is a bit terrible experience for her. Because she has to go back and realize that women have always lived a lie. They've always lived an easy life and have been shitting on men that for all of humanity, that they are the bad guys. This is, I think, the most crippling part of her psychological journey, that she had to look in the mirror and say, women are the bad guys.
Man, it's the book she wrote about her experiences during her time in the mental facility to deal with her issues, coping with her experience as a man. Sparked another idea for her to portray a mental patient. She wrote a book on that as well, and it's called Voluntary Madness: My Year Lost and Found in a Loony Bin, man. So she does a lot of that immersive journalism where she takes on personalities and shit, and I'd imagine it had a lot to do with, you know, the mental breakdown that eventually turned into her taking her own life, man. But that don't tell you how hard it is for dudes out here, bro. I don't know what the hell else to tell y'all, man. Like, but you know, motherfuckers do not care about what the hell men go through today. And a lot of times, the majority of the time, reality doesn't matter. Especially right now, it's all about how you feel about shit, and regardless of what the fuck people read into this. And
nothing has changed. People have gone by their feelings, Night Talk, since human beings have been human beings. That's why I detest this facts over feelings quotations. You know, it's just facts over feeling. Since when has ever men dealt with facts? When Nora Vincent came out, how many men looked at it and said, okay, now I know the facts, time to change gears? None. Right. Men are emotional beings and they follow their emotions. That's what people do.
her experiences she had, it don't matter because people still gonna feel how they fucking feel. You know what I mean? Which is frustrating because like you would think that this article would be all over the place, all on the algorithms, all over social media, Twitter.
you would be gullible then. All social medias have been taken over by feminists. They're feminist controlled and gatekept. And they are going to keep, there's two things going on here. One, the feminists are keeping that Nora's story obscure. Two, men don't want to look for it. Men are part of the problem. Actually, we're the biggest part of the problem because men stood up for themselves. None of this would have happened. But men aren't looking for it. Know what men look for? They look for ways to increase their status. Right? They don't want change. Most men do not want change. They like the abuse men take. They just want to be the ones that get out of it.
Twitter, TikTok, IG, YouTube, man, but it ain't. It's not moving like that. It's not moving like that. And this woman took her life because of the depression she fell into that initially sparked from her not being able to cope with what men deal with day to day. And from what they showed in that video of her experience as a man, it seemed what bothered her the most is the dating element of how men are shitted on in the dating market, bro. Like, you know, men can't do nothing. She didn't get to fucking tap into how the judicial system fucks you, how society views.
Yeah, but all that is actually relationship involved anyway. Like the divorce court, right? Where the judicial system goes after you. That is pushed by the woman that says she loves you, divorcing you. It's pushed by women wanting to marry you, knowing that they're getting divorced, and divorcing you and making you pay alimony and child support. That's female driven.
Men and women, different dynamics, how they always view the women as victim, always view the man as the goddamn assailant, you know, child custody, fucking.
Again, that's how people view men and women.
And, divorce court. There's a long list of things that be beating motherfuckers down day to day, and she got fucked up by just that. Men are shit on in the dating element, man. Like, you gotta fucking prove yourself to everybody. You're held to a fucking standard, and if you don't fucking meet the standard, you get shit on. You know?
Yeah, but your proof, as you say, a man's man, is being a provider and not being a human being. Women like the strong, silent type. You're never supposed to show any vulnerability. So one of the conclusions you should be coming to, Night Talk, is that the dating scene isn't worth it. So why bother with it? I'm telling you something right now. You, Night Talk, have to believe women love you if you want to engage in the dating scene. If a man really in his heart of hearts knows that he's getting together with a woman and she doesn't love him as a human being, he won't be able to do it. He won't. So I don't think you can ever fully become conscious about this situation. Because you want to date. You want a woman in your life. You won't be able to do it if you really are conscious about how you're viewed by the opposite sex. Anyway, I'm for evolution, and I think men should be changing. If we are the strong man type, manly type, we will deal with the changes. We won't take the abuse. We will look at the stuff that we want and say we can't want that anymore. And guess what? Most men will not go that way. Because the idea of being a man doesn't really exist. So we'll end it here.